you so much for being here. I'm so excited that we're finally doing this for season 2 of the Hidden Hues of Motherhood podcast. Can you tell me a little bit about your background, how many little ones you have?
Yes. Hi, I'm Vidhi Shastri, owner of Retrain Physical Therapy. I'm a licensed physical therapist, and I like to say that I don't practice as a physical therapist
Mhm.
anymore because there are so many deeper things that led me to doing what I do now. And I feel like when I met my now husband 5 years ago was when that change started to happen. And it was all unconscious at that
Mhm.
time. And I was supporting him through his divorce. And he had two children. They were 2.5 and 4 years old at that time.
Wow,
So they were very little.
so little.
And I had just met him and I saw his struggles, like fighting for custody, how would he be present for them, how many days a week.
Mhm.
And even though I wasn't part of the divorce, I felt like I was really experiencing that experience with him
Yeah.
and going through it with him. And all I felt was, no matter how messy the divorce is, ultimately the kids are the ones who suffer the most because they didn't choose this, and
Yeah.
somehow at a soul level maybe they did, but
Yeah.
at that moment in time I was like, why, why
Mhm.
do kids have to go through this tough time
Yeah.
and they're only 2.5 and 4?
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
And now 5 years later, I have my own daughter,
Yeah.
Vera, with him. And I wouldn't have even thought of having my own child because I went through his divorce and the process of the kids really getting hurt and seeing them struggle through their prime years of their life, you know?
Yeah.
And because of that experience, I feel like I learned so much deeper work, took a deep dive into craniosacral therapy,
Mhm.
took a deep dive into visceral manipulation work that really helped me come back to my own body,
Mhm.
and to listen to my own inner children that
Yeah.
I was really not listening to,
Yeah.
and then understanding and holding that space for my blended family now.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
it's so powerful and
Yeah.
yet painful
Yeah.
because it was a painful journey for the entire time because
Mhm.
there was so much pain, emotional pain, mental pain. And even my relationship with my husband was strained because of all of this going on in his own personal life.
Yeah.
And I was part of it.
Mhm.
So,
It's hard. It's hard when you're forced to see these types of experiences through the eyes of the kids because at the end of the day, they're the most important people that are in a family unit. But at the same time, it's like, what are the parents going through? It's like so many points of views that you have to see these experiences from, and you're seeing it from like a third party. So you're seeing it from your husband's side, you're seeing it from the kid's side. And then 5 years later, now as a mother, a biological mother of a baby girl, you're seeing it from your inner child's eyes and your baby's eyes. So it's hard to take into consideration all of those points of views. It's like, who who do I do this for? Like, what is the right decision for who? Because it's going to be a wrong decision for one person and the right decision for another. So the fact that you're going internal and that kind of led you to look internally for yourself and for your passion and your purpose is so beautiful, because I feel like in the middle of chaos, that's when you find yourself, ironically,
right.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that just came to me even a few days back. It's like, when I succeed to not get triggered in the chaos is when I'd feel like my work is done, which is lifetime work, I feel, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because every day, every situation brings a new opportunity for enlightenment,
A new lesson
a new
too.
lesson, right? And a mirror so that you can see inside yourself and learn something about yourself that is still in the shadows,
Wow. Yeah.
right?
Oh my God, one of the cards I picked last night before going to bed, like, said exactly that. Said, I'll have to show you. I took a picture.
Oh
It's
my God.
like the reading on the book. It said, the explanation said, who is being your mirror, and will you choose that person to be your reflection? Because it's different, right? Somebody
Yeah.
can be your mirror, but do you choose them to be your reflection? That's insane. And it said something about a shadow too. So it's
Wow.
like, I just got goosebumps.
And my heart is like pounding right now because I can feel that energy. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's so true, and I have to remind myself of that every day because it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's and the biggest mirror, my biggest mirror is my husband. You know, he would reflect all my shadows every day, and I'm like, how do I sit with it? Like,
Yeah.
how is it fair to sit with it? Sometimes
Yeah.
that's how we feel. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, he's showing me parts of myself that I never would have ever visited
Yeah.
or known if I were to do this alone.
Exactly.
And to be able to then choose yourself and listen to yourself and continue that reflection back to you is a very, very hard journey, but I feel very, very fulfilling at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that's what led me to what I do now for people.
Yeah.
And also for my daughter, you know, and my stepchildren.
Yeah.
Because I feel like somehow I'm that person who holds that space for them when they come visit us every weekend.
And that's where your motherhood journey really began, right?
Exactly.
That's so amazing.
And they reminded me, right? Like, yes, I play a role as a mother in their life. And at the same time, they were the ones who reminded me that I have to mother myself first to be able to mother them.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't, of course we all have identities that we attach with, right, every day. And one of them, the biggest one I feel for women, is motherhood. And really that invited me to look into my archetypes about being a mother, because I was mothered so differently. And then how do I choose that instead of continuing the same process that my mother did for us,
Right.
you know?
Oh my gosh, I feel like that's like the biggest lessons at least one of the first lessons we realize as mothers when we become mothers, whether it's through step kids or biological kids or adopted kids, is what pieces of our childhood and how we were mothered are we going to bring into this new chapter of motherhood for us, that now we're on the other side. We're not being mothered, but now we're doing the mothering, not just for them, but for ourselves. And it really forces you to reflect on, you know, that inner child and seeing what did that inner child not receive as a child that I can give her now so that I can give that to my kids. And it's double parenting at the same time. It's reparenting yourself and reparenting them, reparenting yourself. And there's so much magic behind that because it's beautiful. There's so many things that I realize, and it's helped me so much to forgive my mom and to accept and to be like, wow, she did enough. She gave what she could, and I get it now. As a kid, I was always like, oh, why can't my mom be, emotionally available to me? Why could this? Why that? And now I see it so differently. It's not like things that I lacked, but it's lessons that I needed to learn in order to reflect on them as an adult.
Right.
And see how I can incorporate those things as an adult, as a mother, and be the ones who cuts the chains with our kids. So it's a lot of moving pieces that happen all
Absolutely.
at the same time.
Absolutely.
And that's, I feel like, why we're so good at juggling so many things, because it's
Totally.
not just physical things, the house, the kids, the bills, the husband, all of that, but it's internally. It starts immediately when you first get that spark of motherhood. And for you, it was with your stepkids and seeing them go through a rough time. That was like your initiation into motherhood. And
Totally.
it's hard to see those kind of experiences happening to little ones that you care for, but it's an honor to be part of that experience and to know that you were there to be that, that guidance and
Yeah.
that person for them. So it's beautiful.
Absolutely. Like I feel they even though I was the guide, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt honored to experience this process
Mm-hmm.
even though it was difficult.
Yeah.
I felt like every single time they were leading into my own inner children. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, unconsciously, consciously, right? Because I was
Yes.
already initiated,
Mm-hmm.
and I was starting to learn through my own deeper work, reading books, trauma.
Mm-hmm.
I did so much reading on trauma because I had to understand psychology
Yep.
and how we act the way we act and why
Mm-hmm.
we do that, because it's so important and such a base
Yeah.
to human experience and
Mm-hmm.
connection
Yeah.
that I felt I was missing because of all these changes or all the chaos that they were going through.
Yeah.
And I remembered that I all I had to do was ask for that connection. But how do I ask for connection when I hadn't had that space for myself
Right.
to hold that connection for myself,
Oh my
right?
gosh. Yeah.
And each time I would go in, it was so difficult
Mm-hmm.
initially to be able to even understand and say, oh, this is what my mother might have done to build this psychology,
Mm-hmm.
because I had such a high respect for her.
Yeah.
So each time I would go in and I'm like, my mind is confused right now. Like, is this true? Because my lived experience as a child wasn't that.
Yes. Oh my
Right?
gosh.
It's like our perception and what
Yeah.
stories we carry and how our
Mm-hmm.
brain
And what we saw.
receives all that
Right.
information.
Exactly.
And all the brain work I do now I understand why I do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I always was so curious about learning about human body and the parts of human body, and brain is so fascinating. I
Yeah.
feel like cuz our emotional brain is developing in 0 to 3 years of our lives.
Wow.
And in that period, whatever we are receiving through the external environment is basically we're absorbing all of that as a sponge,
Yeah.
right? And that's how our social emotional engagement system is developing.
Yeah.
And then those are the stories that we have,
Yeah.
that we revisit when we then start to do inner work when we get older. And they're all just a perception, because each time I would go and talk to my mother would always have a different perception
Right.
of that same reality that I had for
Mm-hmm.
myself. And then we are like, so I had to sit with that and say, okay, so what is the truth? Like, what is it?
What is my truth?
Right.
Right? Because I
Yes.
feel like we were silenced, and
Exactly.
or we had so much respect for the adults in our lives, for the people who held authority, that how could we not believe their truth, And so then we would distort our truth to mold their truth,
Absolutely.
And it's hard having to dissect that as an adult, because we hold these people, these role models, in such a high pedestal, and then when we realize, wow, they're just human, they're not
Right.
superheroes, they're just human. And that has made me respect my parents more as an adult than when I thought that they were perfect, because all I saw was perfection. They hid behind closed doors. My mom would cry behind closed doors. And it's now, now I get it. It's like they were just human. They're
Right.
just human. And
Right.
And now, how can I show my kids that I'm human now so that they don't grow up with this distorted truth and then
Image, yeah.
later find out, I'm not perfect. I'm not always right.
Right, right.
Mom can be wrong and I may have done a lot of mistakes, but I would rather them find out now as little kids and hold that respect of like, mom's just like me,
Hmm.
than growing up later and feeling confused.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of, I feel like that's my responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
that I show them that I'm a human and that there is nobody on the pedestal, right? I
Yeah.
felt like I put my parents on the pedestal because I was told to. Like,
Yeah.
elders make the decision, elders do the
Exactly.
right things. You
Mm-hmm.
are a child. How do you make the right choice for
Mm-hmm.
yourself? And through that, I lost my authentic self,
Yeah.
authentic voice, my gut
Your
that
essence. Mm-hmm.
continuously, kept saying something different.
Mm-hmm.
And each time, that's the confusion, right?
Yep.
That's the confusion. Like, the gut is saying something different, but hey, you have all these blueprints that come from your parents, from
Yep.
the school, from the environments that you grew up in. And then
Mm-hmm.
those are the voices that are in your head.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
then what is reality? Like you said, what is your truth?
Truth. Because that's the only truth that
That's
matters.
exactly
And
it.
we're so conditioned to take into consideration everybody else's truth and your truth kind of
Right.
hide it
And
away.
every time I feel like I was always asked to put the focus on the external environment. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
what would others think,
Yes.
right? Or what would others say if you do this?
Mm-hmm.
And and it doesn't matter, right? At this
Yeah.
point we know that it doesn't matter what, we have our own life to live,
Yeah.
and our truth still is our truth. Because my dad would always say, growing up in India, that we were privileged even though we had little money, but we were still privileged because we had a roof, we
Mm-hmm.
had food to eat on the
Yeah.
table, we had, beds to sleep on. And look at the other children who are living on the streets. And
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like, yes, of course, it helped me develop empathy somehow
Yeah.
by looking at that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I ignored my own self,
Yeah.
which is not right.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I had to really dig in and understand that, hey, both truths are valid. We
Yeah.
can both have our own truths and sit with it and be okay with it,
Exactly.
and not ignore our own self to, or feel guilty
Mm-hmm.
about what we have because others don't have that.
Yeah. Exactly. I wanted to ask you a question, kind of going into what we are talking about, but more so about the work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it for mothers, for parents to allow their kids to feel this connection to just being human and listening to their inner truth when it relates to them being connected to their bodies? Because I feel like we condition children to disconnect from themselves. I think the big thing that's coming up for me is what my daughter's going through. She just got diagnosed with ADHD and she has a lot of energy. She's got a lot of energy, and the school system that she's part of right now is trying to dim that light, is trying to make her feel like, oh, she's got to sit down for hours and end. Oh, she has to ignore her needs, which is to move her body or to hum or to do anything that revolves around regulating herself. She has to ignore her body. And it's put me in such a difficult position because I worked so hard to teach her to really that human self, to be like, this is who you are. Everybody is different. And you need these tools to regulate yourself. You need to hum. You need to sing. You need to dance and wiggle your body. All of these natural things that really are natural.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that everybody's on a different frequency and different levels of energy. So it sucks because it's hard. How do we teach our kids and ourselves too to kind of not go by that that system and listen to our bodies?
Um, I sit with that question every day. The school systems, and do I even want to put Vera in the public school or even private school? Like, do I want to homeschool? I feel you,
Yeah,
as you ask this question. And I feel like every kid is being diagnosed with ADHD right now because we are going against our bodies all the time.
exactly.
The systems eventually would change, but the first step is, again, sitting with our own self and understanding what is this energy that's coming up for us in our own body,
Hmm.
and how do we model a good channel for that energy for our kids, so that no matter if they have to sit for so many hours in school, they still have their own ways and they honor their own ways of regulation.
Yeah,
And it could be after a period, right? It could be during break time, it could be after school,
yeah,
whatever that may look like, because every individual is so different
yeah.
too, and there are different levels of ADHD
Hmm.
there, right? And I feel, to be honest, I always feel like ADHD is a diagnosis
It
because they
is.
don't look at the root. They
Right.
don't look at the root
And
of how that starts,
and that's
right?
why it was so hard for me to take her in and to get this diagnosis, because I know my daughter well enough to know that this isn't a condition. This is just her nervous system not regulated, because for the last 2 years she went to Montessori school,
Mm-hmm.
which, Montessori method, it's all about sensory and regulation and
Yes.
freedom, and no and freedom with limitations. That's what they do. She doesn't have to ask her to go to the bathroom. If she has to go to the bathroom, that's what your body needs in that moment. She needs to go drink water, she goes. So that's what's happening right now in the school, the public school, where,
Mm-hmm.
like, what do you mean I have to ask to go to the bathroom? And for me, it's like, oh my God, I get it. Like, yeah, why is that a thing? Like, why does she have to ask to stand up and, like, wiggle her body just because she's starting to feel a little fidgety? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I'm like at a wit's end. I'm not sure what to do, but, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching her, like, somatics. That's really helping her with breath work, because these
Mm-hmm.
are small things that she can do
Right.
without, being a distraction, which is what they're
Mm-hmm.
calling her now, a
Right.
distraction. And these are things, okay, at any point you don't have to ask for permission. You can just stop what you're doing and do this breath work. I do the 5 breaths in, holding it, and out.
Mm.
And it helps, but only for a moment. They're in school for so many hours, and
Absolutely.
so it's been kind of like a navigating journey of, like, how do we go through this, and
Mm-hmm.
how do I help her learn how to regulate herself. And that's what it is, right?
It's all about the nervous system and the regulation. But what's coming to me too is they have early school, right? Like, what time does she start school usually?
8:30.
Right. So, I yeah, if this was happening to me and Vera, I'm like, okay, how do I help her,
Mhm.
discharge the energy
Mhm.
that she has? It's creative energy, which is
Yeah.
gonna go to waste or go into negative attention seeking
And
skills
that's
or
what it
strategies
is.
because she didn't get to use that energy in the right
Yes.
direction or
It's
productively,
yes,
right?
it's translating into impulsivity now,
Exactly.
where she's
Exactly.
doing things that she normally never does. And this is like a
Yeah.
side of her that I've never seen, because it doesn't happen at home, because at home she's safe. She
Right.
feels that freedom. She feels like she can be
Who she
whoever and
is.
whatever, and feel whatever she feels here
Mm-hmm.
at school. I mean, here at home. Whereas in school, she's climbing things she shouldn't be climbing. She's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being a lot of hands-on with kids, because it's an impulse. It's the energy
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
translating physically, where she's not able to control it.
Right.
So it's just like it's like this cycle. She's not
Mm-hmm.
sleeping well, and it's just like, I don't know what to do. But for the
My
school, it's ADHD,
right.
and it's
I know.
a behavioral issue.
Yeah, and I feel like first thing that comes to mind is grounding.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is even a possibility to have her be on the grass or be out in the nature first thing in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
that itself helps regulation, maybe even discharge that energy. I talk to my patients about this as well, and as I continue to navigate my own distractions, right, as a
Yeah.
mother, as a business owner, as a daughter, as
Mm-hmm.
a sister, like I have my parents right now, my sister, a lot of stimulation inside the
Yeah.
house. And then Vera's going nuts because there's everyone's doing their own thing and she wants to do her own thing, and she's just a toddler trying to
Yeah.
express what she wants and put
Mm-hmm.
her boundaries, right? And I'm learning through her, and I'm like, okay, how do I use her energy and channel in a better way
A
so that
healthy
she
way.
doesn't go through this cycle
Yeah.
of nervous system stimulation
Mm-hmm.
constantly. And the first thing that comes to me is go by the water, take her to the water. And I have a reservoir across my house, you saw that, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'd bring her there and I wouldn't have shoes on her, and she'd just play,
Wow.
which sensory
Yeah.
stimulation,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
coming back to her own body. Because breathing sometimes, like for her age, it's very hard to even teach her breathing. But what I would do is first hold her close to my body, because physical touch is the
Yeah.
first and the most important thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would start to take breaths.
Yeah. That's how I
And
taught her. Yeah,
yes,
we breathe
exactly,
together.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Mirroring her nervous system, but also helping her lean on me so I can show her how to ground
Yeah.
and how am I doing it with my body. And that itself just starts to settle her down. And when she's flipping out, like there are times when
Mm-hmm.
she's flipping out,
Mm-hmm.
then in that moment in time, I'm like, okay, let's just go out,
Yeah.
get fresh air,
Yeah.
like
Instead of
coming back to all the
stopping it.
senses, right?
Exactly. Instead of stopping it or
Right.
telling her to stop feeling this way, stop
Yes, because
acting this way. No, let's go get it out somewhere else. Like,
that's just building resistance in her. And each
exactly.
time it is like a fight,
Mm-hmm.
right? It absolutely is training her to numb herself or
Mm-hmm.
avoid the emotions that she's not allowed to express,
Yeah.
because now people want her to do it differently than she wants to do it.
Yeah.
And we have to find a way to help her understand that all emotions are okay,
Yeah.
no matter what you're feeling, and her experience is still valid,
Yeah.
no matter what I'm feeling in that moment in
Exactly.
time. And sometimes I'm like, even though she doesn't understand right now, I feel like developing her subconscious,
Yeah.
I always say it with words, hey, I'm sorry you're sad,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I'm frustrated, and this is not on you, right?
Yeah.
And just validating both of our emotions and then sitting with it, because it's a
Yeah.
practice for me too.
Yeah. And
It's a
naming it.
constant practice.
The verbal naming and is so important because you're teaching your kids to be emotionally intelligent so that they can verbally express what they're
Exactly.
feeling instead of just having the feeling and
Mhm.
being confused and not knowing, I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. Whereas like when you explain it and you name it, it's easy for them to say, "Oh, okay, I'm feeling this way. This is my truth in this moment and it's okay to feel this way." So you work with kids as well, right? You work with
Yes.
babies.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I want to have Estella work with you.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. This is a new journey for me as well, because I started this work with babies and moms when I became pregnant.
Yeah.
And my mentors, they asked me to go to a class which is specifically on pregnancy, birth, and postpartum.
Okay.
And it also helps women who are trying to conceive,
Mm.
because it's all about tuning in again, coming back to your own body. And it's so amazing because you listen to the baby's craniosacral system as well as the mom's craniosacral system when she's pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding what does the baby need. And sometimes and it's always like we both are a unit, no matter
Wow.
what, right?
Yeah.
Outside the body, inside of the body, we both are a unit. And each time it's like, okay, we invite both of them to come together and see how we both can aid in each other's healing.
Mm.
So sometimes it's like the baby going through their own traumas that they need to let go, and the mom is the witness to it. And sometimes the
Wow.
mom's doing that and the baby is a witness to it, but they
Mm-hmm.
both release at the same time. It's just so
Yeah. Or they're
amazing.
feeding off of each other too.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because I'm on the mom's body and I see the baby just settles as the mom settles.
Yeah.
Certain things, like I just had a patient, she had scoliosis when she got pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and when she was younger she had to get surgery for that scoliosis, so
Mm-hmm.
her delivery wasn't easy. And now her baby is 6 months old, right? And I'm working on her spine, and as soon as I worked on the spine, the baby just exactly did the movement that she was supposed to do to get into the growth process, like the extension that she needed that she
Wow.
wasn't getting until I worked on the mom. So I feel like
Wow.
both of them, and working with both of them in a session can be
Yeah.
so powerful.
Yeah.
And so I'm also changing my own practice, because I used to see babies alone and moms alone. But once I started to do this work on myself and see these changes, I asked other practitioners who refer patients to me, and I always talk to moms who ask me for consultations. I'd work with mom and babies for 0 to almost 3 years of age together, because
Wow.
it's
That's
just so powerful and the
amazing.
healing can happen so much
Mm-hmm.
faster in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And I also feel like, their moms are overwhelmed when
Yeah.
they first have their babies. They're not sleeping. So how
Yeah.
can a baby sleep if the mom's not sleeping? Mom's overwhelmed, mom's nervous system
Yeah.
is heightened. And so baby's carrying the same energy.
Yeah.
And as soon as the mom starts to tune in and come back to herself, the baby automatically comes.
Yeah.
And there are so many times, like latching issues,
Mm.
tongue tie, cheek tie, it
Reflex.
reflux,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of it also has to do with birth trauma and how the
Yeah.
baby was delivered. So
I
I
totally
always look
agree.
into that aspect, physical restrictions, emotional things that they might carry during the process of labor delivery, even the past projections of their own childhood or their birth
Mm-hmm.
from their mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like connection that we are always making. That's why I love this work. Like, we started this conversation with
Mm-hmm.
connection, and connection's coming back to me again.
Yeah.
It's like we are building that connection through the body and different layers of the body, so that there can be connection with the external world.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
I love how it's like your own little version of ancestral healing that you're doing, really,
Absolutely.
because, like you said, it's so connected, and who knows, it could be something of somebody that's not even here. Because we did the session with me. This brings
Yes.
me back to my session. I was so lucky to have a session with you, and the the amount of information that I walked out of there that I didn't even think I would. Like, I never thought something would come through my left kidney, and that was incredible for me because I had thought of, like, oh, I'm sure something from my head will come up, or my back because I had scoliosis, or maybe even my eyes because I had LASIK surgery, like all these different, oh, I was like, definitely my C-sections, like all these different parts that I thought was going to definitely come up, and never did I think anything for my left kidney. I had even forgotten about the infection that I had during my pregnancy with Estella.
Mm-hmm.
That was my left kidney. And the information that came through about my grandmother, and it was connected to my mom, and my mom connected to me, and things that I had been carrying, that it was all subconsciously. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what's beautiful about your work, is that you really help people tap into parts of themselves that they never would have been able to tap into. I
Right.
don't think I would have ever had that come up for me in any other work. And I've tried everything. I've done hypnotherapy and all of this stuff, but this is different because it's from the body. You're using the body as a blueprint to tap into these parts. And it's so important because when these things are translating into your body, it comes sometimes with pain, right? You work with a
Yeah.
lot of patients who have chronic pain, and who also have conditions like disabilities and even sicknesses. So it's so important to do this work with you because it's things that your subconscious won't that you won't be able to tap into, and it's like radar. You're like a radar for the body. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing. So, thank you so much for that session. It was really eye opening for me. Really
Oh,
eye
yeah.
opening.
I feel you. I have goosebumps as you were even expressing that. And it reminds me again that, my mentors would always say, and I was in a visceral vascular class this past weekend in Baltimore.
Oh,
I just
yeah?
came back Sunday.
Oh, wow.
And again, I was reminded that, you may see the patient and you may observe the patient. As a PT, I was
Mm-hmm.
always taught to look at their gait, how they
Mm-hmm.
were standing, what shoulder was lower or higher, or pelvis, and all of that. And then with your eye, you might see different things. And then when the patient gets on the table, listen to the body and always continue to listen to the body,
Mm-hmm.
because the body has the wisdom that your eyes are not going to pick on.
Yeah.
And until and unless you completely trust your hands and allow the body to talk and be vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And be respectful to the body and ask the body, what does it want to show you
Mm-hmm.
today? You wouldn't get there,
Wow.
because it's ego that's
Yeah.
going to block you from listening. And I'm like, this is so powerful, because
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I do that, and each time I go to take a workshop, I'm always reminded of it, and I'm like, wow, I'm going into a deeper layer of listening,
Yeah.
because it's always refining my hands, trusting my hands, and getting that ego out of the way, and say, oh, I know what this is, or oh, and trusting the patient's body to take you to the next step that
Yeah.
they have chosen already in their healing. Like for you, I feel like you wouldn't have been able to tap into what I said that day from the listening if you had not already done all of this work that you've been doing for a
Mm-hmm.
year. Like, it has nothing to do with me,
Yeah.
right? My hands guided me there, and I trusted that.
Yeah. You're
And then
just a
your body
vessel, a
just,
guide. Mm-hmm.
yes,
I
your
love it.
body just tapped into that wisdom
Yeah.
and the memory that you
Mm-hmm.
were already storing.
Yeah.
And your soul, I feel like each step, each practitioner we go to, all of those are just steps to move us forward to the next step,
Mm-hmm.
to the next layer that we're supposed to witness,
That's so true.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And each time I do my own work, I feel the same thing. Oh, and in that moment in time, I can make a choice. Okay, now what do I need?
Mm-hmm.
And each time it's a nuance, like, okay, what do I need now? And it's like coming back to that present moment
Mm-hmm.
and trusting the body to show you the next step.
Wow. That's amazing. That's an amazing process that you go through, but as well, your patients go through. It's like you're going through this process as well. For you, it's work that you're doing for yourself. Can you tell us in detail a little bit more about the work that you do specifically, like the visceral therapy, all of that? What is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so visceral manipulation was founded by an osteopath called Baral, and he is a French osteopath, and he has been teaching this work for 40 something years now.
Mm.
What it is about listening to the organs, and there are two different things that we listen to in the organs. One is the mobility of the organ, and one is the motility of the organ.
Mm.
Mobility means how does that organ move in relationship to other organs in the surrounding areas.
Mm-hmm.
And then motility is when the organ moves on its own axis. And we listen to those things because organ carries memories of emotions, the trauma, the physical
Mm.
restrictions that might be happening throughout our life with injuries, falls, right? Car accidents, concussions. I see complex patients. And
Mm.
so all of those layers add up. And then where is it stuck in the
Mm-hmm.
body? And where do I start from to first start peeling off the layers so that they can get that holistic healing?
Wow.
You know?
That's amazing. amazing. And you partner that up with spiritual, right? Can you tell us how you
Yes.
do that?
Yeah, so that's when I bring in craniosacral work,
Mm-hmm.
because visceral work is, for me, it's like bringing the patients back to their physical body, so
Mm-hmm.
they can start listening to sensations, they can come tune in into organs and see what they are saying. And the dialogue piece, when I start to dialogue, is when I bring craniosacral work, because I'm listening to the craniosacral system, which is nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So nervous system brings me back to certain memories that they might be holding, even from sometimes past lives, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
from traumas, and all of that, just trusting that craniosacral system to show me,
Mm-hmm.
what it's going to show me for that period, like for that present moment in,
Mm-hmm.
and how they are going to be able to integrate that in their brain. Because when we start to dialogue with the tissues, it's sort of like shadow parts.
Yeah.
It's shadow parts of the body that the brain hasn't
Mm.
really integrated.
Hasn't processed it.
Exactly.
Wow. That's amazing. So walk me through like a walk us through like an appointment with a client.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of do like a little bit of like a, you know, what is it
touch
called?
touch
Yeah,
or
you do
listening.
touch and listening,
Mm-hmm.
and the client is part of the experience, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
you ask them questions and they have
Mm-hmm.
to be, it's best when they're open, right? But you're able to get to answers even when
Mm-hmm.
they're not open, right?
Yeah, so that's again going back to listening. And also, so when the patient comes in, the first thing I would do is have my hand on their head and really listen to the entire system and see where am I getting called to first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would redo that when the patient is lying down,
Mm.
because then it's like local listening to the areas, because we have so many systems in
Yeah.
our body, and it's not just about one system. So I would evaluate and sort of differentially diagnose
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the nervous system first that needs to be treated, or the vascular system, or
Mm.
the lymphatic system, or the organ,
Wow.
right? And then we go through that layer, and once I have the primary restriction, let's say, or the primary area of the work that I'm going to start doing, that's when I start to listen to that organ again. And then we go
Wow.
into deeper memories of the organ, or the connection of the organ with other organs that it might not be communicating with,
Right.
and building that communication so that the brain can receive that message and then come up with a story, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the brain doesn't know verbally what to even articulate.
Yeah.
Our language cannot develop until we really listen to the sensations.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the times, our bodies talk in sensations of heat, cold,
Mm.
colors some people might see
Mm-hmm.
while we are dialoguing. Sometimes it's pain.
Mm-hmm.
And pain is just information.
Yeah.
But we weren't taught that. So
Yeah.
each time we go into some experience of pain, it could be physical, emotional, mental pain, we always worry, and then we
How do we
shrink.
get rid of it?
And how do we get
Mm-hmm.
rid of it? How do we
Mm-hmm.
avoid it? How do we numb it? There's so many ways we bypass it
Yeah.
versus just listening to it
It's
and asking the
communication.
pain, right?
Wow. That's amazing. That's incredible. That's so that's the work that you do is just so important because it's listening to the whole body, especially parts where we were conditioned to ignore, the
Mm-hmm.
pain, the numbness, and it all translates into your body,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can you tell me a little bit about your motherhood story with your daughter? How was that experience for
Yes.
you?
That was a different layer, I feel, of pain that I went through.
Yeah.
I had a perfect pregnancy, let's put it that way. Like, in my mind, I had a
Uneventful.
poor, right,
Mm-hmm.
uneventful pregnancy where there were no complications. And I was so headstrong in that, oh, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna be healthy and my labor is gonna be fine. And I was receiving a lot of body work that I do for people
Mm-hmm.
on myself while I was pregnant. every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, you know.
Oh, okay.
So I felt so much room and space in my body. So I was able to work until I was 38 weeks pregnant, and then the
Wow.
time came, right? That, oh, it's 40 weeks. And I had actually booked the birth center
Yeah.
because I was hoping to give birth naturally in the birth center.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 40 weeks, and the pressure started to build in my body, and I'm like, okay, so what's happening, why am I not going through this while I've prepared everything to
Mm-hmm.
have the nice birth that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
And then goes 41 weeks, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm still like, Vera doesn't want to come out. Like, what is it?
That was
And
so
I'm receiving acupuncture pretty much
Yeah.
every 2 days to get her out.
Mm-hmm.
And my cutoff for the birth center was 41.6 days. And now I'm at 41.4 days. So my midwife is like, okay, we have to do something because you want a natural birth. So let's try, it's called luminary sticks, and a lot of people don't know about it.
I don't
And I
know
want to
about it.
share this because it's so
Yeah.
important to me that, thank God that my GYN even recommended this. I would have never known it. It's like made out of seaweed, but what they are supposed to do is they put it in your cervix for expansion, and they keep it for 24 hours so that you can dilate if you didn't have that yet
What?
to start the labor process, active labor process, right?
Oh my gosh.
I
Why
didn't know
didn't I
that.
have that?
I didn't know that until I went there.
Oh my god.
So,
I was also 41 weeks and 4 days.
wow.
Yeah.
For, I guess,
But
first
nobody
births
ever told me
nobody
this.
tells you this, right? Nobody
No.
prepared me for even saying that, oh, she might be 42. Sometimes it could be 44 because the due date is just a number.
Right.
Well, I didn't know that.
Estimate too.
Uh-huh. I didn't know that. So anyways, so they put these stakes, and then I go home, and they're like,
These
okay,
are they're sticks made
like
out of
they-
seaweed.
yeah, they're
I'll
sticks.
post like a picture. I'm gonna look it up. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it's so
cool.
it's so amazing that they can even do that. So she put pretty much, I think 9 sticks or something, right? And then I go home, and she's like, just do your exercises, whatever you're doing to work to get her out, right? To start the active labor. And 24 hours later, I go back, and she's like, oh, so how did it go? Let's check the dilation. And I'm like, nothing happened. I don't feel anything. Nothing happened, basically. Yeah. And she checked, and she's like, well, it's barely any expansion. So then she's like, okay, we have 2 options. We're gonna sweep the membrane, and then put the site of yes.
They did that to me too.
So you know.
Yeah, it's painful.
It was the most painful experience of my life.
Yeah, I know.
Until that point.
It's terrible. Why don't they do something? Give us something like
I know.
anesthesia or something. It's so painful.
And she's like, oh, it's gonna be a little pain.
They don't tell you.
And I'm like, this was not little pain.
Yeah.
I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah, me too.
And then even after that, nothing happened.
Yeah.
So then she put cytotech, and she's like, well, let's see, right? She asked me to walk around her clinic for an hour, rechecked, nothing happened. So she's like, well, the only option you've left, this was 41.6 days cut off for my birth center. So she's like, all we can do is now take you to the hospital. And then the downward spiral began, where I was just handed off to the nurses, IVs, all of the experience that I didn't want, that I knew about, and so again, I feel like I had a very supportive team. As my midwife, I had a doula, and also the GYN who was recommended by the midwife. She was very, very supportive, and she allowed me to go through my own labor process as long as, it felt okay and Vera was okay. And so I was 3 days in the hospital.
Wow.
And we tried active labor twice, but I never felt it until I felt it when I asked for epidural, and it was like every minute and a half, and I couldn't handle the pain.
Yeah.
Because when they started Pitocin, nothing happened for the entire day.
Oh my
And then at one
God.
point, it was like, I can't bear this
Came
pain,
out of nowhere, yeah.
right?
Wow, that's exactly how it happened with me. Did they break your water?
No, so they didn't break my water. But then once I asked for the epidural, my water broke
Oh,
in a
okay,
few hours
naturally.
after that,
Oh,
naturally.
okay.
And then that evening, she came and she was checking the GYN. She's like checking the dilation. She's like, "What's going on?" And I was on the almost the max level of pitocin that
Oh
they
my,
were giving me.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that was me too. It's so painful.
I, I'm like, all the things I
I'm
didn't want,
exactly
I'm
me too.
experiencing this. And yet, at that point, I'm like, well, I, she has to come out. That's the only process
Yeah.
here. And at the end, I had to choose for C-section because her head wasn't even really out. And somehow the OB thought that she might be stuck in the pelvis,
Hmm.
and that we had to really, even though her heart rate was normal, I was okay, everything was okay.
Yeah.
She's like, well, it's time. It's 3 days, and you've tried your best to push her
Hmm.
out. Nothing is really happening.
Were you dilated? Were you like a good amount?
Yeah, at the end of after the epidural and the maximum level of pitocin,
Yeah.
that evening I was almost 9 centimeters.
Oh my
So
gosh,
they're like, okay,
yes,
now
me
let's
too.
try active labor, right? And I'm not feeling the contractions, but I now realize with epidural, how could I, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it before, and then I numbed myself even more with the
Yeah.
epidural, but I didn't have a choice at that time.
Yeah.
And so she looked at the monitor, and she was guiding me to push each time she would
Hmm.
see the contractions on the monitor.
Right.
And still, there were like 2 episodes of this,
Hmm.
right? Like, it happened at night for almost 2 hours. I tried to push and nothing happened. I got exhausted. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I
Yeah.
need to sleep. Next morning, she comes back, and it's Saturday, and she came because I'm the only one now who she has to help give birth.
Yeah.
So she comes, and nothing's happening. She's like, let's try another hour of pushing, active pushing. And I tried that again, and I'm like, that's it. I had to surrender at that point,
Yeah.
even though I could will through it, right?
Yeah.
And then ultimately, it's like my body
It's
is saying, you
exhausted.
have to just do this, right? And go for it. And it was amazing that she had supported me. She came, I felt like she shared her own experience of her C-section and then having a natural birth the second time. That also gave me like empowerment and
Yeah.
inspiration that I could do this
Yeah.
and be okay after.
Yeah, I think women who have feedbacks should definitely tell their story because
Absolutely.
we're told that it doesn't happen, that it never happens, that it can't happen, but it really can. And I wish I had known that there were women out there who really did just decide to have VBACs because I might have done it the second time with my son.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time it was just like Vera, it was exactly the same. It was, pushing and nothing happening and I wasn't dilated and it was days and days and days later. And it's disappointing. It's really disappointing having like that the plans and the things that you planned for. That's why for the second time I was like, I have no expectations because otherwise I'm gonna be disappointed. And I just said my only goal is to have this baby, and however it'll happen, I'm just gonna surrender. So I feel like these experiences teach us to be more, you know, open to all the possibilities and surrendering. I feel like motherhood, period. It's like you can't plan for things. Are you joking?
Plan? What is that? I'll show you,
You
a
want to be
different
somewhere
way.
on time? No, that's not how it
Exactly.
works. So, but it's good because I needed to learn that. I've always been
Absolutely.
a very type A person, like very organized, very always on time,
Me too.
having control of knowing everything that's going on and having everything my way. And becoming a mom really taught me that no, that's not how the world works. And it's actually more meaningful and exciting when things don't go our way. In that moment, I would have never thought that, but now it's just like that's how she had to. That's how she chose to. Right. It wasn't my choice. Right. The whole thing about giving birth is that you have to take into consideration that there's other soul. You know, yes, they're in your belly, and yes, they may not, have knowledge, but they really have a soul and they make decisions and they come into this world signing a contract like this is how you're going to come into the world. Right. And this is going to be your initiation into this earth and this time. And I am now, as Estella's big, and I'm sure you've realized this too, that they needed to come this way because it's kind of made them the way that they are.
Absolutely. And I want to share something so important that I learned through my own process of surrendering and trust. I feel like, yes, of course, that was the lesson, right? To somehow crack me open. Yeah. To be able to surrender even deeper than I practiced surrendering. Yeah. Let's put it that way, right? Yeah. And then I was like, okay, so now I sit with all of this after giving birth. Like, why? I was in a victim mindset for such a long time. For the first 3 months, I'm like, why did this happen to me? I tried my best. To have a healthiest pregnancy. I did everything right? Yeah. Like we think about that. And I'm like, I know so much about my own body, and I had learned and read and did research and figured out a better way to do this. But why? Avoid all of this. To avoid all of this. And the point was that I had to go through this experience to be able to hold the space for all women who go through the same experience, or even worse experiences than I had, right? And ultimately, when I really look through that lens, I'm like, oh my God, no matter how much I intellectually learn, until and unless I experience it through my own body, I would never ever have had a space for other women going through the same experience.
Oh my gosh, I feel the same exact way. It's like switching that mentality from why did this happen to me instead of like, why did this happen for me?
Exactly.
This happened for me so that I could help women and so that I can give women the courage to talk about their experiences. If I talk about my truth and my story, then I'll give them, and then creating this platform, the podcasts and the events. And how could I tap into that level of empathy and compassion if I didn't live through it?
Exactly.
I love that. And I feel like a lot of moms need to hear that because
we are so hard on ourselves.
Yeah, we get so stuck on the disappointment, the guilt in ourselves, like, oh, this is our bodies. Our bodies were meant to do this. Why isn't it doing it? But everybody is different. Every story and journey and purpose is different. And if you went through something that in your eyes seemed like traumatic or terrible or dark, there's a lesson there. There is a purpose for every experience, and it's your job to look at it as not why did this happen to me, but why did this happen for me?
Exactly.
What is the purpose? And now I look back and it's just like, yeah, the same thing. Like I look back at Estella's. That's why I'm able to so comfortably tell my story, right? Everyone's always asking us, like, how can we tell our stories? It's like traumatic. It's like because I don't see it as traumatic anymore. I see it as look what I get to do now for work.
And to share this story, I feel yes, it's traumatic, and we sit with that pain to also experience the awakening from it, right? So I feel like when I tell my vulnerable story, I have room for so many women who've gone through this process and who are not speaking up, who are not able to tell their stories, who are suppressing because they feel alone. Because I did.
Yeah,
we all do, right? The motherhood journey itself, I feel, is so lonely because you're on your own most of the time taking care of the baby and you're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And each one of us is. And so it's so important to remember that vulnerability is not weakness, right? And to be able to share this story that changed your entire life can be so powerful.
Yes, exactly. And use that to uh ignite your passion, to ignite, like, what is this story, what can this story do, what can I do with the story? I could write about it so that other women can feel like they're not alone. I could talk about it on a podcast, I could speak at events, or I can, put it into art, because a lot of people use their pain and use their experiences into creativity. And I feel like that's where my womb is my center of creativity. I feel like this is where all of my most amazing ideas for events and for collaborations and for my writing and the poems, all of it is centered in the womb. So if you look at it as a negative way, then you're
rejecting that
you're
part.
rejecting your womb. You're rejecting the body that made it happen. It didn't make it happen in the way you wanted it to,
Right.
but it made it happen. And there was a reason for it.
Absolutely.
And the reason is that's for you to unravel, right? That's for you to kind of discover.
And also to say that until and unless we have room to hold the space for our own selves, we can't hold space for anybody else.
Exactly.
So I think, again, going back to mirror, right, and reflection, I feel like that's exactly what was universe mirroring for me.
Yeah.
And inviting me to go in again and to look at the parts that I didn't look at, and those were the parts that were judgmental, that felt like she could do everything or control everything, and then to come back to that place of surrender and trust.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because trust builds through this process, and it's a constant practice of working through it to build the trust. Because a lot of times, I mean, we all have self-doubt, but how do we ultimately get back to trust?
Yeah. In ourselves, in our bodies, in our ideas, and our passions. Yeah, it's hard getting back there.
Right. And to weave in with the work that I do, I also feel like I learned through my own process that there is a way to retrain your nervous system even after such a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
And there is something in craniosacral work called completion of the biological process. So it happens for both mom and the baby who had C-section or who had the birth that didn't go through naturally.
Yeah.
We do this process so that the baby can retrain the nervous system and allow all the movements that she or he was supposed to do to come out through the birth canal when I'm working on their body, so that it gets imprinted in their nervous system and they can shift the story.
For both of them.
For both of them. In different ways.
Wow.
And I did my process. I did my process just a few months back. I remember my mentor was leading me through that process. And I'm like, there's something still missing in my birth. I don't understand. But I have swelling in my legs that doesn't go away. Like, I need to go back to that experience again and see what was that missing piece that I didn't process yet. And she led me there, and it was, I had to give birth to Vera naturally.
Yeah.
And she led me through that entire process of completion of my own biological process that I was supposed to do with her.
That's like the same. Yes, that's the same process.
Because I was a C-section. I was a C-section. And so talking about the blood, talking about the memories we carry in the tissues in the body, all of these memories are inside of us.
Yeah.
And to think, like, I feel like it was so naive for me to even think that, oh, I had processed my birth and, my breech delivery,
Right.
so I could have a natural birth because I already processed it. But there are so many layers to it.
Right.
And until I went through this experience of C-section, I wouldn't have been able to really dig in deeper.
Right, right. Wow, that's amazing. So, as it relates to your work, who should be coming to see you, to work with you, to experience your offerings?
Um, I feel like I can help everybody, but what I am shifting in my own practice and my own business as I help people integrate through all these different layers, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I've started to offer this work even virtually, and I want to offer this for the same reason I feel that the journey has been so empowering for myself, that it's an injustice if I just offer in person, one on one, because I am limited. My energy is limited, my capacity is limited, and the hours I can do hands on work is limited. But I have always been, in the last year, that's what I've been sitting with. How can I offer this to more people?
Yeah.
To more states, to other countries.
Yeah.
And I want to bring this work back home to India as well, because I feel like a lot of PTs, do just general exercises and machines, and there is so much more fulfilling work that we can all do together, to really
Deeper.
shift all of it that's going around us, all of it that's going within us. And so I'm offering virtual, group sessions, and it's like an hour, but it's sitting with our own selves, holding the space for each other through somatic work, through journaling, and through open dialogue. And always continuing to visit inside and seeing what we can still shift.
That's so beautiful. I'm so excited for you to offer that.
Thank you.
And you have your trip to India? Yeah. You're gonna be there for 3 months, right?
Yes.
Tell us about the work that you're gonna be doing there.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of meeting one of the mentors that has opened a satellite in one of the states in India, and who offer craniosacral and visceral work there. So it just started, and I'm going there to meet him so I can be a mentor to other PTs who come to take workshops or who are in his practice to treat patients. I've also asked him if I could assist in teaching workshops, and I just got an opportunity to assist with Visceral Manipulation 1 class with my mentor, who I had been looking forward to for such a long time, in 2 weeks. So I'll be doing that in Jersey Shore, and helping PTs, massage therapists, chiropractors, even dentists. All of them can take this work, and so they will be coming to the class, and I'll be assisting the first level. My goal is to start teaching this work at some point. So I'm also in the process of finishing my own certification, and I just got one part done, and the result yesterday that I passed my essay exam. So I'm gonna go to my next level.
What is the certification for?
This certification is for craniosacral therapy technician exam. And once I finish that, I can also do a diplomate, which will allow me to teach. So I'm finishing up the first step to be able to then do the second step for diplomate and then start teaching. So that's what I'm offering, and I'm working through in the last year. But to go back to your question, I feel like anyone who's looking to go in deeper and to really connect with their own wisdom of the body, to align their souls and their soul path to the mission that they are meant to live here on this planet, can come and see me.
Yeah, because it could be kids, it could be mothers, it could be senior citizens, anybody from any age, any background can really benefit from your work.
Absolutely.
And I can say that because I have benefit from your work, and I hope to have Estella work with you too. I think that you would be able to really tap into a lot of insight onto how to help her regulate her nervous system, and it's important. I hope that you can develop so many clients and so many different. I'm so excited for your business to grow and for you to be a teacher and for all of the incredible work that you're going to bring back from India when you go at the end of this year, right?
Yes.
So where can people find you now?
Mm-hmm.
Are you in you're in Weehawken, practicing out of Weehawken?
Yeah, I practice out of Weehawken. I have a location in Hoboken.
Okay.
I also have a location in the city. And yeah, those are the three locations. But if they're also looking for virtual sessions, then we can do a virtual session as well. And yeah, that virtual sessions one-on-one, or even just come join me for connecting with your inner wisdom class, for an hour, and just start to tap in and experience that work, whatever calls you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vidhi, for coming and talking about your work and your motherhood story. It's so important, the work that you're doing, and I'm really excited to be your friend and to be here to witness your amazing gifts just expand. And it's just like, I think that's a perfect word for this year for everybody that I know. There's like immense expansion, and there's more to come for 2026 too.
Absolutely. And you are going, I know you're going to Brazil.
Yes,
right?
I'm so excited.
And you're taking the spiritual journey. That's how I feel going back to India is for me.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to continue my work there, but I also am looking forward to like spend that time with my daughter, to my roots, to really connect to my roots, because it just brings me back with a fresh mind.
Yeah.
And recharges me and re-energizes me to come and build different work each year, and bring my creativity back from my roots so that I can shift the work depending on the calling that I am called to do.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you so much for sponsoring The Shape of Her Light.
Yes,
aren't the pictures amazing?
The pictures are gorgeous.
Right?
Yes.
I'm
We
so
need to do this more and more.
Yeah.
Because it's so empowering for women, right?
And to be able to just to your work.
Exactly.
Right?
Thank you so much for even creating a space like this. I'm so grateful to even know you and have found you and be your friend. And honor each other in our journeys, and leading our own paths and leading other women.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a teacher in my events, but I'm also a student. And every friend that I have is just like, I'm so lucky to have you as a friend, but also as a teacher. I've really learned so much, and everything I take, I put into my work, and it's been amazing to have your support and for me to support you as well as much as I can. So thank you so much, and I will post all of your information at the end.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.